OMD, are you down for this 1 meal a day challenge? Well, let's learn more about it here on Super Soul Sit Down.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday, folks.
Monday again.
It comes and it goes and then it comes again.
Yes, every week. But thankfully, we are here again to talk about something that we haven't talked about yet. And it's a little uncomfortable because we have to confront some things that you and we both do eat meat. So this is the ultimate test for us to really talk about some facts that I never knew of.
I know. So let's talk about it and jump right in. So what's going on, guys? Welcome to Super Soul Sit Down, the after show for Super Soul Conversation, a podcast by Oprah. And today we got to listen to Suzy Cameron, who's James Cameron's wife, talk about basically their passion and purpose project. So we'll dive into all the details. But for now, I am your meat-loving host, Jamie Alexander, and to my left is the brilliant Haley J.
What's up, guys? Haley J here.
You see, I hesitated.
I was going to say, where's she going with this? That's the thing. I mean, if we're being real, it does almost seem like it's offensive these days to say you eat meat. And I don't want to feel guilty about that, but you also... There's some hard facts that we're hit with in this episode.
There's some hard facts. So we're here to talk about all those facts. And we want to make sure you guys stick around to the end for our special segment, Own Your Soul. And we've got some great news and gossip also. So, yes, what did you think about this podcast and the teaching as a whole? I know you were saying there was a lot that you didn't know fact-wise.
When it comes to choosing to not eat meat or being vegan or only eating fish, a lot of the people I spoke to is always, and with all due respect, it was always about the animals. And I want to, respect the animals. I don't like the way they're treated. But as far as the carbon copy and your footprint and, the equivalent of eating 1 meal a day and how that could save the trip from New York to California, those things blew my mind. I had no idea that our environment was so affected.
Yeah, and you kind of think about it. So you guys, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about or just catching up, an environmental advocate, mother, and former actor, Suzy Cameron is an executive director and founder of a plant power task force focused on showing the impact of animal agriculture on climate change and the environment, founded with her husband, James Cameron, and Craig McCall. But she's an author of the book, OMD. And don't worry, we're not talking about telling you to eat only 1 meal a day, but this is based off how much the world and environment and everything could change if we changed one of the meals that we ate during the day to a plant-based meal. And I had to say, this was a lot of interesting information. I have watched things like, what the cow and all this, what the heck or whatever.
I'm scared of, and I know that's no way to basically think ignorance is bliss. But yeah. I have to be honest, sometimes I feel like it's almost like nothing is safe to eat. And
I know.
I wish I could say that I choose everything organic all the time, but the truth is I don't. And sometimes I do go with the cheaper option. And the arguments are strong where they say spend money now and less money in the hospital later. I get that, but sometimes it is difficult because I feel like we hear things all the time that contradict what we learned. Eggs are bad today, coffee is good tomorrow, and it changes. So I think it can also be very stressful and seem overwhelming when you want to change overnight. And when you listen to Suzy and her husband, they watched a documentary and then they threw out everything in their house. To me, I don't think I could do that. I don't know if I was in a different place financially. But exactly, that's the thing.
That I bought.
When it comes to 1 meal a day, I do believe I could do the no meat 1 meal a day, no problem. When we were discussing this earlier, the vegan part is what's hard. Because say I can replace maybe some turkey for a veggie patty. There's a lot of really great options. Shout out Trader Joe's. There's so many really good, affordable options that don't have meat these days. But then I'm like, oops, I put cheese on that. Or oops, this yogurt or this dressing has a yogurt base. So for me, that's a little difficult. But I also think that you can make small baby steps. And I don't think when it comes to this, I don't think any act is too little. If you can make changes here and there, I think that's helping. So I want to just say it can be overwhelming to hear all these things at once. We're not all like Suzy and her husband that are so quick to change.
Right.
But I think if you just look at certain areas in your life where could I implement change, because some of these facts are crazy. I won't bore everyone with all the statistics.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. Yeah, sure.
If you
please.
go to the podcast around minute 12 is where they have a lot of the facts. But basically, they were saying, where am I at here? They're saying that the effects are climate change, deforestation, melting glaciers. When it comes to animal agriculture, it's the second leading cause of greenhouse gases and climate change. And then methane just coming from respiration, which this is a little bit funny in the podcast, but she's like,
And like
farts are funny.
right? Yeah.
But it saves 200,000 gallons of water. And the carbon, this was crazy, the carbon equivalent of driving from LA to New York if one person eats one vegan meal a day. That's crazy. And that to me is where I felt a responsibility, because when I realized that just changing one meal, we have that much power.
Yeah.
At least if you can't go full vegan, at least like I was saying before, try and maybe make a few cutbacks here and there. And if not a meal a day, start with a meal a week. Just try basically and maybe realize it's not as difficult as you thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I appreciated about this is it's not asking too much. For me to make such a small, because some people who are harsh, like stop and, completely changing the diet, everything. For me, that's a little bit too much to ask. I mean, I'd love to be that great, but I'm not. I don't have that kind of discipline at the moment. However, I can definitely take one meal, like you said, even a week, but I can do it daily to not include meats in my diet. There were so many facets that I appreciated about this podcast that even went beyond some of the statistics, which made me think. You brought up how some of the stuff that we've been taught has now changed. And I remember growing up, I'm an 80s baby, and it was all about milk.
I was just going to say, all those ads with the milk mustache.
Yes. I mean, you've got celebrities, and it's so funny, too, because I know a lot of these celebrities and people in office, like presidential office and stuff like that, their fridge doesn't look like ours. So a lot of the stuff that they pump out and let us watch and consume, their kids aren't eating.
Right.
I'm pretty sure
Same
about
with
that.
So many products we see that celebrities endorse.
Right. That we're, selling, pushing. So it's something that I think about. But what was really amazing and stood out the most to me was that I feel like together they found their purpose. It's one thing to be successful. You guys know James Cameron. He's an amazing director, producer. He does all these things, these huge films that bring in millions, but didn't believe in the word hope. Hope is not a strategy, right? Was his shirt, which I kind of feel him on that, but it wasn't until he opened himself up to the greater good of people and humanity to where he could believe in something like hope.
I picked up on that as well. Yeah. Well, him saying hope is not a strategy. I'm with you where I do believe we can't sit around and want things to happen. We can't just hope that everything is going to go our way. We have to do the work. We have to put ourselves in positions to make things happen for ourselves. However, I do think hope is also a really beautiful thing in moments of despair. I think seeing people come together, I think seeing that belief in someone is a precious moment to witness when you can just truly see it inside of someone.
Yeah.
So I go a little against that theory, but he comes around to say that he felt hope for the first time in his life when he said that the more people we can inspire to eat plant-based, the more we can move the needle to climate change.
And that's why we're here on this planet. To find something that wakes you up in the morning or makes you so hyped that you're redefining some of your old thoughts and habits and things like that for the greater good of people you don't even know, and you're hoping to create something that picks up, like creating a love culture, I just think that's so powerful. And I hope that everybody in their lifetime gets the opportunity to be that excited about something and move the needle forward.
Well, I almost feel like I've been in the dark this whole time where I did not know consumption of meat had so much more to do with the environment. And I almost feel, I don't want to call myself stupid, but I feel a little dumb to not have known this at all. But I don't think most people actually know the stats like this.
I would always wonder too as a kid, even if I didn't know certain things, it's like once something becomes a business, it makes me nervous. And food is a business. So I just be thinking, how is it they got fresh meat in these stores every day? And I'm one woman in one city. This is one grocery store, right? There's thousands of grocery stores in like a small mile radius that are all receiving products. So it's like, where are all these animals coming from? It's like we're genetically modifying everything because it's just impossible to be raising a bunch of animals, hurry up, stuff them with food, make them great, and send them on out the door to be slaughtered to eat. Like, it's just the weirdest thing.
No, you're so right, though. And I honestly get really scared. And beyond,
really
I know
scary.
this podcast is we should stay focused on the food, but just our products of everyday life, our makeup, our deodorant, our hair products.
No, but it's true. It's
like
very
we're pouring
relevant.
toxins on ourselves, but
Yeah.
it's hard not to get overwhelmed, like I was saying. And then that causes stress, which we also know, which I'm always trying to deal with, is one of the biggest causes of disease. So it's like, well, we're sitting here trying to reverse all these things that are thrown in our face since we were little kids of processed food, not really knowing how bad it was, finally learning how bad it is, but then trying to reverse the process. And then sometimes it's difficult too, because say we find a product that is a vegan product or, doesn't have meat, it's fake meat, but then what about the processing of that? What if that has a bunch of soy, and maybe soy is not the best for you? So it's just
I heard that too, actually.
What my dad always said, the healthiest thing are Swiss cheese holes. Because it's literally like
so
nothing.
cute.
Well, it's like nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that's safe anymore. So
That's
for
funny.
me personally, I just try and find a balance where I know I'm doing myself no good to be overwhelmed. But I just take it step by step. What changes can I make? I try to find areas where, am I being a little stubborn? Don't want to do this? Can I make a change? Yes, I know like even I have turkey all the time in my salads, and I put this to the test. I went to Trader Joe's and I got those tofurkeys, but I want to look into that more because I don't know if those
I don't know what's really in there either. Is that something that's going to
Exactly.
get stopped up in my intestines because it's
and
like plastic or something?
Exactly, and that's my
I'm so
fear.
dramatic.
So I'm going to experiment more, but I was pleasantly surprised that I couldn't even tell the difference. I mixed it in with my salad, so I'm like, okay, this is something I could do. Maybe, they do have a lot of good brands that are cheese friendly to not have dairy and things like that. So it's going to be a work in process, but I'm happy to know that I'm open to the information now. And I do want to make a correction. I said minute 12 with the stats, but I actually meant minute 18 when Suzy and her husband have a school, or I'm sorry, Suzy and her sister. She founded it with her sister Rebecca, actually in California, called the Muse School. And it's the first K through 12 school in the country to be 100% solar powered, zero
dope.
waste, and has a 100% organic plant-based lunch program. They recycle, they reduce, they compost, they reserve water, natural light, solar panels. And like I said, again, minute 18 really breaks it down for all the statistics, but it's just, they really teach these kids at a young age of how important it is to protect our environment. And just, I think education's huge because like I said, I had no idea. And what do you think about her saying in the beginning that we need to start our kids out young by sneaking in the veggies, the cauliflower crust, and just kind of putting it in there at an early age? It's almost like, when you had PE and they were like, do laps, and you associated running as punishment.
Right.
I feel like growing up, it's like, you got to eat your veggies before dessert. So at a young age, I learned, okay, these are the gross foods. And, maybe my taste buds, I didn't like it as much as I were to like pasta or something else. But I think having that engraved at a young age, telling you it's something you shouldn't like, you stop liking it. So if we can sneak it in and don't even let the child form that mentality, does that make sense?
It does. And I really appreciated that part because the funniest thing is before listening to this podcast, I was listening to the 4 Agreements, and it talks about the opening chapter is all about the programming that we get as kids to function in society in a way that kind of fits in the book of law, so to speak, whether that be the Bible or anything like that. So it was just a trip because I was like, we learn all these things. I didn't really get a chance to be myself because we have to live in these lanes. But then I listened to this and I'm like,
so over
well, this is not a bad, It's really a thing. Like, you get punished if you do something bad. You get praised if you do something good. So you're constantly trying to avoid the bad, but get the recognition for the good, like this thing that we put ourselves in. So I struggle with that a little bit because I remember just wanting to be a free kid and not understand why I was always being told what to do.
I hope this happens, but at the same time, I don't want this to happen. But do you ever think generations from saying that we don't destroy the planet first, generations 100 years from now, do you think they're going to look back and say, what the hell were they doing?
Oh, absolutely. We're crazy.
I kind of feel like, why were they eating fake food, and why were they putting like chemicals and poison on their face? But it's like, it's like I have probably hundreds of dollars of things that are terrible for me. Am I just going to throw everything out and start buying super expensive products? I don't think so.
I
Realistically,
don't know.
I'm going to do that right now.
I think about that sometimes because I love, first of all, how the setting of this was Oprah's garden in Maui. Like, can I get a garden in Maui, though? Like, I would just be barefoot and sunshine, and I wouldn't even need products because it's like, where am I going? What am I doing?
In a setting like that,
I can find...
all the stress would just go away.
I can moisturize with olive oil or whatever. I'll figure something out. But
avocados.
Yeah, something, right? But yeah, since we do live in a world where we kind of learned from, you know, the generation before us, because that's a sidebar, right? My dad's family is from North Carolina, and I'm already thinking, like, I woke up today with a plan. I'm like, for the next month, I'm eating clean, I'm working out, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I'm going to go to my grandma's house, and the way they eat, and when we bring our little Californian avocado toast eating cauliflower chicken type, you know, vibes over there, they'd be like, girl, you need to just eat. But I'm like, I kind of wasn't raised like that. We're family, but no, I need my veggies.
You speak on something really important, especially being in LA. I think a lot of times vegan, eat clean becomes a fad. And I think that's where the stigma is, because you're like, oh, we were talking about this before with like yoga and meditation. It kind of becomes this like LA life, and it's you kind of get SHIT for it. And it's because it seems like you're just doing what everyone else does. But that's what I actually wrote, when a fad becomes factual, because you cannot deny the science behind it. And
you know,
Oprah actually calls it graspable, saying it's a fun exercise. And I don't know if I'd call this fun, Oprah. I hate to disagree with you, but a fun exercise for yourself to try one plant-based meal a day. And I do think she hit it on the nail on the head, saying it is graspable, because I love animals, but at the same time, I'm like, I've been eating meat my whole life. A lot of my sister, well, I don't have that many sisters, but one of four, two sisters have, one sister only eats fish. The other sister hasn't had meat in about 3-4 months. I still do eat meat. I do like a lot of veggie patties, and sometimes I'll just buy them because I like them, not really being cautious of this meal has meat or not. Right. And sometimes I'll look back and realize, oh, I didn't have any meat in that meal. So I know I can do it, but I would be lying if I said I thought it was completely easy. I think it's something that takes work, but I almost think that can be enough for someone who's sitting there thinking there's no way I could ever have one meal a day. Like I said before, maybe just start with like one meal every 2 weeks, just in the smallest way. Or and I think it becomes easier.
Yeah, you could do one a week. Come on now. If you're tripping, you could do one a week. But you could also do one a day.
And just like try other foods and realize that a lot of stuff, explore. Like what is it, jackfruit? There's if my eyes were closed, there's no way I could tell that wasn't meat. They have a really good veggie patties and things like that. So
and somebody who's excited about revs is listening to you like, I ain't about to eat no jackfruit.
And I also get that too. Like you were saying, if your family has been this way forever, especially like it's someone say they're, you know, in their 60s and you're saying you should start to eat meat, they'd be like, no, like at this point, why? Do you know what I mean? So I see also why someone would be stuck in their ways and not want to change, but seeing the facts and seeing how much it can affect the world we live in today is what motivates me, because it's becomes more than just us at that point.
And it makes sense to me because the way plants grow, I just think of God and how he makes no mistakes and how natural nature is. And of course, if I'm eating plants that kind of have the same process as my body, then it's just got to work somehow together. Like in my brain, without knowing the scientific words, that makes sense. One of the parts that I really loved about this was how they talk about the kids and how she said, oh, you know, my kids don't eat anything green, or they only like pizza and ice cream. And it's like, well, is that what you're feeding them? Because that healthy peer pressure helps. If everyone around you was like, broccoli, like, yes, girl, did you eat your broccoli? Like, and it's a thing you do just out of inclusion in the way we are as humans, want to be a part of that culture. And I think that's a really good thing.
That also brought me to think on a much deeper level of what are we feeding our souls? Like we always talk about what we're choosing to take in. And when I find myself being stressed out or worked up, I say, well, what am I feeding my brain right now? Am I glued to my phone? Am I stressed out about this email? Am I stressed out about this text? Okay, put your phone away. It's like, what are we choosing, whether we want to believe it or not? What are we choosing to put right in front of our faces that are causing the issues that we maybe don't want to admit that we're doing to ourselves? Because it's normal, right? Because that's what we've been grown up to believe is get motivated, do your work, but we're all stressing ourselves to death, honestly, that I'm just trying to figure out the balance.
That's why I think like turning down as much as possible, because even, tuning out the noise, sometimes I feel like we know what we need and we're not really allowed to follow that in the sense that there's so much that we're getting. If it's not from the phone, it's a podcast. If it's not the podcast, it's TV. If it's not that, it's a billboard. I mean, we're bombarded with ideas about how we should be. But deep down, I think we know. You know, even if we hear little things. Yeah.
Silencing the noise.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I am just, cooking in the kitchen, I would always have the TV or a podcast, but I've been challenging myself to just not have any sound, and it almost feels foreign to be like, I have nothing to listen to. It's just me here. But
it's nice.
I'm kind of reteaching myself how to just be okay in silence and
But you know what I would do? Well, if I were you, because I try to practice the same thing as when I'm in silence, is like, really look at what you're doing. If you're putting together a salad, like just be conscious of when you're rinsing off the greens and how the water rolls off the leaves and, getting that clean and what you want to add to it. Then I feel like different parts of you starts to talk to yourself like, oh, let me add red peppers to this. This might be good. Or, just something very immersed in whatever it is that you're doing in silence. Because it kind of produces more chatter again. You're kind of talking to yourself, but at least it feels a little bit more present to what you're doing right in front of you.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to work on. And my friend calls it, no pun intended with this podcast, but the meat of the moment.
Yes.
Where let's stop. I even had to check in with we're going a little off topic, but I had to check in with myself today where I was sitting here, I was doing both things where I was stressing about something that happened in the past and also stressing about something coming up in the future. And I realized, is there any good in stressing about the past? The answer was no. Is there any good stressing about something that hasn't happened? The answer is no. So I was like, let's come back to where I am right now.
I love that.
It wasn't easy. Proud. It was kind of like a weird, rough day for some reason. But we have those days. And I think, let's talk about the fact that they happen. And same with if you're trying to incorporate Suzy's plan of one vegan meal a day. If you mess up, let that go and just continue to try and do something else. It doesn't have to be as intimidating as maybe her and her husband's approach, because it sounds scary to hear all these things, but I think we can try.
Yeah, I think we can absolutely try. And, so a couple of things. I'm a really adamant person about fasting. So I fast at least 1 to 3 days monthly, or at least every month and a half, to give my intestines a break from digesting food, just your body a moment from processing. And kind of it just reminded me when you said, okay, I'm worrying about something in the future and then something in the past. Is either of that going to serve me? Like, no. But I feel like we could when I'm fasting, it's because my willpower is strong and I made the choice to do that. I also see how much I allow myself to stress over food. Like, girl, you said you're fasting, so you don't need to sit up here and talk to your brain a million times about how hungry you are. Go get a juice. Like, drink your water, like go through the process.
Because it's really that'd be hard for me. But now I'm thinking I should try.
Yeah, it's great. It's going to be challenging at first, just like anything. Like, you're not going to hop in the gym and be able to do 10 pull-ups in a row. But if it's your goal, you'll keep at it and you'll get there. So sometimes I feel like we need to be a little tough on ourselves and not allow our feelings and that voice in our head to baby us out of whatever we're doing. Like, you did a good job. Like, is that serving me? No. Is that serving me? No. So we're done.
I do feel like I mean? But I wish
control.
I could say that it was done that fast. I had to do that self-talk a couple times.
Yeah.
But I think that was progress where I don't think I would have even asked myself those questions in the past. Like, is this serving me any purpose right now?
Yeah. So I think about that, like, when I'm fasting or have to do anything when it comes to diet. It's like, okay, I know, like, the chocolate chip cookies smell great. But that's not what we're doing right now, right? Cool.
We're not doing the cookies
That's
right
not
now,
what we're
Jamie.
doing right now, Jamie. I know. And if you can't stand the smell, go in another room because they smell so good. I know.
That would be the worst thing for someone to do when you're fasting. Like, what? That's torture.
Right. So I do think we have a level, again, of responsibility where we can do it, even if it's challenging. And like you said, if you fall off and things change, that's fine. But we're so much more capable of doing these things than we give ourselves credit for, I think.
I'm a little jealous of the kids in Suzy's Muse School because,
is that amazing?
I feel like we're both very lucky to have so much information at our fingertips these days, but I would have loved to start when I was 7. That would have been really easy, or much easier, I would think. Yeah, if that's your normal. I just feel like now we are reversing so many things that we've been taught. And, our parents didn't know any better. I mean, I can't blame my parents for thinking, drink your milk and all these things, but because that was what they knew at the time. But it's almost like information overload where we're so lucky to have all of these resources, but it's overwhelming sometimes, and it almost feels like every documentary tells you something different.
I know.
And it's like, what do I believe? And that's why I kind of just want to get back to the whole, like, let's just not be on as much medication as possible and let's just try and do things the natural way.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, everything scares me nowadays. I just don't know what to trust.
I know. I think it's a totality of things. Sometimes I overthink about it, sometimes I don't. But I'm like, if I can stay out of the doctor, just stay active, drink my water, have fruits and vegetables, I'm not mad at myself for having the ice cream or the yogurt or,
That's the thing, too. I believe balance and
Absolutely.
also living your life is
Yes.
extremely important because, like, take opportunities and enjoy life and don't overthink the cookie, like, have fun. But
that sounds like a book. Don't overthink the cookie.
Don't overthink the cookie. But it's true, because on one end, if you're so perfect and you eat right all the time, but, you're not ever going out to get a drink with your friends because alcohol is poison, it's kind of like, well, am I now feeling deprived because I'm not having fun with my friends tonight because I'm so worried about this, which is now causing stress? So it's like, I really think everyone's different. So it's just, I think it's having a face-to-face conversation with yourself in the mirror, maybe being like, all right, what could I actually do to be better? Because I do believe we can all be better. Yeah. But what's my balance look like? And our balance could be different, and that's okay.
I love this whole plant-based thing. I think that'll be easy for me to do only because Trader Joe's exists in my life. So it's going to make the plant-based thing
it's helpful.
So easy. But one thing I've been challenged with, because, again, my Wayne Dyer, he cut out sugar. And we're eating like
fruit too?
Yeah, you got to slow
sugar?
down on some of it because we consume much more sugar. I think don't quote me on the numbers, but I think like back in the day, it was only 5 grams that we were getting. Now we're up to like 120 a day. Something like that.
I would believe more than 120, especially when you look at like a can of soda or something like that.
Yeah, so the numbers, all I'm saying is like they're far apart. I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe it's like 100 to 600 grams or something. But yeah, and I just think like, dang, who could I be and what could I accomplish and how would my thought process and agility be if I could remove sugar? And then now we have this where I could replace a plant-based diet for one meal. I am interested in like being extremely clear because Suzy shared that like I have so much clarity, energy because of the way she changed her diet. So that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah. I kind of wish that I just had access to all of these top doctors because if I could just sit down with them for a second, I feel like they would have the answers so quick, and I'm just trying to get all the information I can to figure it out. And it is hard because some days are different than others, where sometimes you feel great and you eat all the same things, and other times you feel terrible and you're like, why? What is it today?
Isn't that crazy?
And it could be all things. But yeah, for me, I think it starts with stress, and I just think it starts with doing what you can. And if you have to have a slower process than maybe Suzy and her husband, then that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great thing about this podcast was all the wonderful questions that Oprah asked Suzy at the end. So one of them that stood out to me that I was going to ask you is, so what has been your greatest awakening?
My greatest awakening?
Yeah.
I think it ties in with the biggest lesson I've learned is just the body-mind connection and how much the two really interact with each other. And I just think that I realized it's funny that I'm learning all these things right around the time where, I might want to deny some things are bad for me, but I don't know if it's just getting older, but my body tells me now when things aren't okay. And the stress really affected me. So it was kind of like if my mind wasn't going to slow itself down, my body was going to force it to. Got it. So in a way, I know it's a blessing. I'm still trying to figure some things out, but I do think it's gotten a lot better. Yeah. And I think it's just like you were saying, we know the answers all along. So putting my phone down, realizing how much that really caused distress in me, realizing how much I need to plan everything and that, hey, life's not always going to go according to plan.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I think
just choosing what I'm taking in and, getting rid of maybe some toxic people in my life and just knowing that I'm responsible for a lot more than I think I am, what I'm choosing to think about.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that.
What about you?
I would say, my greatest awakening came when probably something similar when I realized that me being so controlling over everything that happened was not the way. My favorite thing was like, well, if I don't do it, it ain't going to get done. And I was dead serious. And it's like, actually, I can put forth the effort that I can, but there's such a level of surrender that I'm learning to live at now that I literally need to take a dose of every day because I'm, it's such an ingrained habit to make everything happen.
Well, that's what's confusing. We've been taught that, you got to be the first one to show up, the last one to leave, stand out, especially in this industry. We want to show people that we are serious. We want to work hard, but it's at what cost sometimes.
That part.
If you're happy and even checking in with yourself, questioning why am I still doing some things I'm doing, it's because we lose sight of the purpose, I guess. And that's the craziest thing. If I could say, tying back to Oprah's questions and what she was asking Suzy about her purpose, I feel like that's what I'm just searching for. I want to make sure I'm living out my purpose, and sometimes I feel like I'm stressing it by without
in the hamster
talking
wheel.
to myself about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was, the greatest awakening, because it put me on a completely different path, which I needed to be on. So I would
feel
say
like we just need a few weeks on an island is honestly like,
oh my God, yes.
a
I'm like working on
detox,
that. Yes.
a processed food detox.
Yep. I know personally I need that.
Please?
I took the time off already. I don't know where I'm going, but I've got to go somewhere.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's just time, especially before the new year starts.
Maybe I'll go camping.
Yeah, we need to connect with nature. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Connection with nature.
I could not deny that. Having my lunch break outside has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I still do have sounds. I still have a podcast on, but just something about, and I get stares. It's really funny how many people make comments that I'm just sitting outside. I have a towel. I make a little picnic, but how many people are like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm outside.
Wonderful.
Yeah, like I'm actually the best I could be right now, but it's just, I almost think it's a foreign thing. We don't really see people doing that as much.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree though. I think connecting with nature, especially before the year ends, might be vital. So try to get it in, girl. I'm going to. That's what I said. I say that's what we need. So this was great. There was so many gems in here. I think I extracted everything I wanted to when it comes to the lesson. We ready for some news and gossip, or was there any points that you wanted to share?
I think so. I definitely recommend everyone, if you haven't listened to really take in all the information, because I think, again, we would just bore them with the stats. But if you hear the conversation, you're like, oh my God, I was shocked. Yeah. But I think it's like, people need to hear these things.
Yeah, I agree.
But so with the news and gossip, basically, if we can pull up this article, it is Oprah it's raisevegan.com, and what we've been discussing, obviously trying to go 1 meal a day vegan. Oprah is, which I'm really excited to see her doing this, because like I said, I didn't know, and I'm going to take a guess that a lot of people didn't know this information. So Oprah is raising the awareness, like Oprah does with that platform she's got.
Yes.
And she's asking her, please pause for this number, 42.6 million followers to try the challenge to eat at least one vegan meal a day. And she just spoke about the connection between plant-based diets and the environment, and how just making this small dietary change can make a huge impact. One person, like that's crazy. One person can have such an impact. So, I've said this before, obviously, but if you don't think you can start that strong with 1 meal a day, just do what you can. And even if it's not vegan, try a veggie patty and blow your mind. Like the Impossible Burger. Can we talk about how good that is?
I never tried one.
Girl, I would never know.
Really?
Truly.
I don't eat fast food.
No, the Impossible Burger you can get from like nice restaurants.
Oh,
actually.
You can? Okay.
I've got to meet the guy that was the first guy to create it at an event, and it was absolutely amazing.
Wow. What is it, like beans? And
I guess so. I think some of them are different. I know a lot of them do like chickpeas and different things. I'm not exactly sure what the original, I think the recipe's changed a little bit, but yeah, you especially like add a nice sauce and stuff, like you never know.
And then put the same lettuce, tomatoes,
right?
And whatever
like you
on
really
it,
can
onions.
create.
Yeah.
And I think it's just people taking down the walls a little bit and being like, oh, I love meat. Like, okay, just try, just try. If you hate it, whatever. Just say that, because like I said, it's beyond us. This is the world we live in, whether we want to admit it or not. These are facts.
It's very true.
And then when you were talking about the questions that Oprah was asking Suzy at the end, which I really did love, because it took this from, just science to connection and what we live for, especially you and I, and these topics that we always get to. But I took it to Twitter and I wanted to ask people what did they want at the end of their life, and what did they hope that the questions answered could be. And they said, Rochelle Woodbury says, did I do everything I was meant to do? Morgan Albaum says, did I make a difference? And then I had a few others. I made a video on my Instagram instead of doing a poll. I switched it up on you guys this week. But Salar says, what happens next? We had a couple of these. Muhammad also says he wants to know with certainty what's going to happen after we die, which I can't give you guys that answer,
Right.
but that is like a very normal question.
Yeah.
What does happen after this? And that goes back to your beliefs and things like that. And then Rhea says, was there anything else I could have done? And now I take it to you, Jamie. What about you?
Gosh, I struggled with this because I'm not sure. I do think of like one of Suzy's answers were, how do you explain prophetic dreams? And even this gentleman, I think Nick, you said, who was like, well, what happens when we die? Sometimes it blows my mind so much. And I know it's so beyond me that I'm like, I don't even ask. I'm not going to get the answer, But I guess it would be if I had to pick something along the lines of that. Like soul and spirit things are so unexplainable in logic. I can feel it and I understand it because I have dreams and I see things and all this. And I don't know how it gets there or where it comes from. So it would be nice. Sure, yes, it's God, but how does something with an omnipresence just flavor us with all of this stuff? Yeah, it's just unexplainable. I can't, girl. I don't even know if I can answer the question.
Which that's also really cool in itself. Where
Yeah.
I think as humans, we just try and figure out everything. We want answers to everything.
Yeah.
So to still have these, just like the soul feeling and this energy that we really can't put a name to, I think is one of the coolest things. But it's also frustrating because you're you watch these documentaries and you're like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
But I think for me, it would just be finding, did I fulfill my purpose?
Man, I would only want to know the answer if I actually did it. Because if I miss something, I'm going to be on my deathbed upset.
Well, did I tell
about
you
what I
my
missed?
favorite quote where it's like, hell is the definition of being at the end. Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but being at the end of it all and being face to face with the person you were meant to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that can't happen.
If it ain't a mirror, and you want to show me something else, I'm going to be really upset.
But it is hard. I think when you think about it, big picture, you're like, yeah, why would I not take all the chances? Why life is short, take every
Seriously.
risk. But when you're also living in the moment and you got those bills to pay and you, like, again, money is the root of all evil. I do think,
God.
and I'm sure someone out there is like, you could if you really wanted to. And I will be honest, I'm sure I could spend a couple more dollars to buy everything organic. Right now I don't. I'll do some things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But do I go to Whole Foods for everything? No.
I mean, and that's the kind of thing that bothers me, I guess, about the powers that be. It's like, I didn't have any say about how all of this stuff came about, but it's like we've got these people that we put trust in that steer us in all these directions, and I just don't like it, and I'm not really comfortable with it because, like we said kind of in the beginning, it's like, oh, milk does a body good, and it's all this milk stuff. It's like nobody did enough research to figure out the mucus and the bone calcifying and all this
Or
stuff
they
that's
did,
happening.
but going back to what you said about a business.
Or a business, yeah, or putting corn in
sells.
everything. We're not supposed to be eating corn like that, and they put corn in literally everything.
I didn't
So,
know that one.
oh girl, there's a whole thing I'd be reading about corn.
I just bought corn.
There's a whole thing
Yeah.
about corn. So it's just like, I get it, but it's so annoying because I don't think I would have chose this outright. This wouldn't have been my choice. I definitely think God, I don't need to play God. God lives within me, but he gave us enough resources to heal ourselves, to eat, to do everything we're supposed to do. But humans, we got to go up in here and make a business and start shoving steroids in cows and doing all this so they grow
be
quick
greedy.
and fat so we can eat. And it's just too much. And I just really kind of wish I wasn't a part of this lifestyle at all. Like, I didn't ask for this. I would have preferred those type of people keep their hands out of things and we have the option, because now I feel like it's so out of control that, like, how do we scale back?
Was
We're
taken over
wilding
by
right
money
now.
and
Yeah.
business, and I 100% agree. I think that's what is so frustrating, that we're backtracking now. We're trying to go back to the way things naturally were.
So
we have
frustrating.
so much clutter to get rid of, but it's also like, can I sit here and say it's frustrating? Yeah, but do you have to at some point just accept that this is the world we live in, and how can we be better with what we're given? I think that's ultimately what we have to do, because you know what I mean? We can sit here and say how mad we are forever, but nothing's going to change, but we can change.
Yeah, I mean,
In whatever
the pie
ways
in
we
the sky,
can.
kind of vibe, I would, but I just, going forward, I would wonder, it's going to frustrate me only because it's like, okay, what can we do? But at the same time, how can we avoid going so far in another direction again? And of course, then it's a man in the mirror type thing. But what I love so much about what they're doing is they are creating a movement to where we have the opportunity to change things, because we cannot, you got to be fed up at some point to say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, even if it's just going to change the way you're eating. I'm not going to eat that anymore because of this, or I'm not going to do that because of that. I'm fed up with, going that far, pushing those limits, or using these resources in that way. And hopefully we can get back on track, because we really need it. And I think
we can share the information too.
Yeah.
Just putting the knowledge out there, I think it's helpful. Mm-hmm. And to not shame someone. Like I said, I do eat meat and I enjoy meat. Will I try and make more of an effort to have meatless options and vegan options when I can? Yes, but I also don't want to I don't want someone to make me feel bad because I want a burger every now and then either.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That might not be popular opinion, but so especially living in LA, sometimes I do feel bad for wanting a steak.
I love steak. Oh my God, it's so good. Nice little medium with some garlic butter sauce and potatoes.
Vegans hate us right now.
I know. I'm so sorry. No, actually, I'm not
sorry.
It's
like
I love it.
It's not also going to help anything by shaming others. I think a lot of people just being pushed in more of a direction to eat meat. So it's just like make the changes, do what feels right for you, and let's just like respect each other. Let's try that one. See how that goes.
So speaking of,
I was going to say, what do you think you can do differently after knowing what we know now?
Yeah, well, why don't we dive into that with our special segment with Own Your Soul.
Your journey to become more inspired and connected to the deeper world around us starts right now.
So this is Own Your Soul, a segment where we take the information we learned and figure out how we can implement it in our everyday lives to evolve and make things better for ourselves and the people around us. So I'm going to absolutely do one plant-based meal. I'm going to incorporate that. I don't have to have meat all the time. I'm more than happy to do it. I also personally would like to cut back on sugar. So my goal in this is to be the healthiest vessel possible. So whatever comes out of me that's supposed to be helpful in this world is coming through a clear conduit. I just want clarity, because I feel like the better I can get with those habits and disciplines and what I'm feeding myself will only put me on a path to my purpose in, like maybe a more streamlined, clear kind of way.
Yeah.
I want to be open to that stuff. So that's what I'm going to do.
I like that. And I think I'm overall pretty good with sugar, but what really helped is to look at drinks. Because I eat fruits and things like that, which I know have natural sugar, which I don't, to be honest, feel bad about those types of sugars. Mm-hmm. I know you can always go too far, obviously, but I'm very quick to say no to drinks with sugar. It's just, to me, I'd rather eat the cupcake than have the soda or like Starbucks Frappuccino. So if you look at it and maybe just like with the liquids first, I think it becomes easier.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. I cut out soda. Yeah. I haven't had a soda and got ginger ale every now and then.
I had a bad dream that I accidentally had a soda. I was like,
such a nightmare.
I'd be so mad at this point because I've done like over a year and almost 6 months at least, but I don't miss it.
Yeah, and then the way they say your taste buds change, if I were to drink a soda now, it would hit my mouth and throat, and it'd be just too much.
I do like the Zevias, but I just recently started cutting out stevia in my coffee, and I feel better. So now I'm like, well, this is probably killing me too. So.
Gosh. Well,
stay positive, people.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like I said, eat the meat, spit out the bones type of thing. Like, take what works for you, and
Well, that's what I would say is how I'm gonna own my soul, is just I am not going to put this immense pressure to change overnight. And I still am going to stand strongly with right now, I am eating meat. I don't know if I will in a year, but right now I still am. Yeah. But I know I can make change, especially with one meal a day making such an impact. Yeah, I can help move the needle a bit, and I will.
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll share something in the comments, and you can too if you want. Maybe like a couple meals that we come up with that don't have meat. Yeah. So easy, simple, yummy
even
things.
I just decided once I finish this turkey pack, I'm not buying any more turkey, and I'm switching to the meatless crumbles or tofurkey. And then almond milk is super easy to switch out, or oat milk, or anything that's different. Oat milk's not dairy, right?
I don't know. Oat milk.
We'll do a fact check.
I
don't
think
it is, but
I don't think so.
Different milk options, that's an easy switch.
Well, oat milk is in right now, so I would have to say it probably is not dairy. Oat milk is like the thing. I keep getting emails about oat milk. I do. Like, it's not pressed
emails about oat milk. Speaking of LA talk, I just keep getting these oat milk
If
emails.
it's not matcha or pumpkin spice something, it's oat milk.
Seriously, it's like that's what is the stigma around it. Everyone's doing it, but now we know the facts, and the fad became factual. So whoever has a comment, let them destroy the earth. We're not.
We're not going to be a part of that.
Yes.
So. But yes, we would love to know your comments and your thoughts on today. What do you feel about meats and dairy? And are you willing to change your diet and have one plant-based meal a day? I mean, gosh, I'd say Oprah, Suzy, James Cameron, and we are doing our job if this information touched you and you're willing to do it for at least a week.
Just try.
Just something. So that's our duty for the day. I feel like I did something good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as you know, you can catch us here, same time, same place. So see you next Monday at 6. I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and I can be found on Instagram at Jamie Alexander.
And I'm Haley J. You can find me Instagram and Twitter at HeyJ, HAYJ_. We'll see you next Monday for another Super Soul Sit Down.
Bye.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.